So also this week has been the Senate hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson for her nomination to the Supreme Court. To be honest, I haven't been watching that much of this because, well, number one, I feel like she's going to get confirmed no matter what. She's going to get confirmed. I don't think that there's any real danger of her not getting confirmed. Two, I think that she's shown enough to show that she's probably qualified. And three, what I have seen is just mostly a lot of grandstanding by a lot of senators on both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. Have you guys been catching it at all?
Yeah, I've watched it. I mean, I've seen all of it. I mean, yeah, you're right. She's going to get confirmed no matter what. We knew that, and we knew that she was going to be super woke. We knew she was going to be an activist. We knew that she was going to be, or that she's going to have a problematic track record in something. I'm just shocked that it was pedophilia of all things. I mean, I was just shocked that, like, we spin the wheel and we're like, what was it? I mean, I was like, okay, she's going to be light on BLM. She's going to be light on abortion, right? And she's going to do abortion, crazy about abortion, right? It's going to be something, right? There's going to be something where she's an activist judge. And you spin the wheel and it lands on pedophilia. I'm like, that is a very rare landing, right? That's a very rare thing to be light on. And that's something that's kind of bipartisan. Like, if we've looked at all the issues that have united people, the children have been something that's united people. When people start coming for the children, both Democrats and Republicans can unite and say, you know what, stay the hell away from the kids. I mean, Loudoun County, Youngkin winning in Virginia, a lot of that was about the education. And to me, it's just a very odd thing, but you're exactly right. It's 100. She's gonna be confirmed. I think it was interesting to see the points they made. I think all this high horsing by the Republicans does absolutely nothing, because the next time it's a Republican nominee, they're going to do the exact same thing they did to Kavanaugh again and to Thomas. This pattern is not going to go anywhere. So them trying to high road it is not going to help anything. They're going to attack people's personal lives. And to some extent they should, by the way, because to some extent their personal life does matter. But that's a separate topic.
I mean, yeah, you could say to some extent. I mean, but I think the most important is looking at their record as a judge, assuming that they have been a judge. Not all of them have been before becoming Supreme Court justice.
Well, there's no requirement, though. I mean, technically they could appoint anybody.
I mean, Justice she was not a judge at all before being nominated.
Right, which is why when you say qualified, I'm like, well, a dog catcher is qualified. Anybody is qualified because there's no requirement. There's no qualification.
Yeah. I mean, right. Okay. Are there actual rules, for check boxes that every justice has to meet? Well, no, but generally speaking, we want them to be well versed in the law. We want them to to understand, and we want them to be impartial when it matters. To have a personal subjective view on things is totally fine, so long as you can understand the difference between your subjective view and the more objective need that the public has for any judge, especially a Supreme Court justice. I will say that, as far as the whole maps issue that's come up, I think that it's very interesting.
I'm sorry, the fact that we have a term for this now, and the fact that we're like, it's a thing that like we have to discuss as a group, is just like, you got to laugh, because I would have never believed you if you told me this was a thing like 5 or 10 years ago. I would have laughed.
Honestly, 5 years from now, we'll be talking about aliens, coming to this earth and becoming our overlords. Like anything can happen. Seriously, like Godzilla's going to come out of the ocean.
Whether or not alien sex is legitimate, and do we have to acknowledge interterrestrial babies? And what if they cross over state borders? Like, how does that work? Like, who's getting citizenship?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's gonna be something.
When Darth Vader's the baby daddy.
Yeah, but I will say that, to me, I haven't. So have they distinguished about, because I know that it sounded like her record on sentencing for convicts related to CP is very light. It's below the sentencing guidelines. Minimum. Across the board.
It's literally the minimum or below, where it's recommended.
Yeah.
Right.
So I know that she has kind of that across the board, but are her sentencing is her sentencing record that way for all crimes, or is it just specifically for MAPS issues, like for CP crimes? Do we know that, or have they?
I haven't seen anything come out about the other ones, but I also don't keep up with politics that much either. So
Yeah.
So her general sentencing for they found this trend for this, but the problem is for her other decisions, it's kind of sporadic. You can't put together a pattern like this. That's the issue. She also does have, like any other judge, many decisions. It's very difficult to go for anybody, even senators who have staff. It's hard to go through every single decision and put together something unless it's as clear as this. So I don't think that you could say, oh yeah, she's light on sentencing at large. There's probably some crimes she takes very seriously, but they haven't been able to piece together any other narratives. And this is the only narrative. However, it's a darkly disturbing narrative. But it's the only one.
Speaking of dark and disturbing, welcome, Joe.
Oh boy.
I get the best intros. I get the best intros. You guys are too kind.
Listen.
I'm even dressed all dark and disturbing today. So
I like it. We're matching. Hey, did you go? Did I do black and white? So you had to go black and black and is that blue? Black and blue? Like
black and dark blue, like navy blue.
Yeah, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to go a little bit darker than me. It's okay.
Dark and disturbing. That's me. Yes. That's me.
Very disturbing, like the speed of light. Disturbing.
So because to me, it's one thing if her sentencing is just on CP kind of stuff, if it's lower than normal, but if her record is overall, she has a tendency to give lighter sentences because she just feels like the sentencing guidelines overall are just too harsh for criminals in general, and she feels like people are better served with having some time in prison and then they get rehabilitated or something like that. I don't know, like that's at least a rationale that I could maybe, whether or not I agree with it, I could at least understand it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. So that's why that was kind of interesting to me, because people are talking about that specifically, but I don't know if there's that issue, I don't know, all the way around.
May I weigh in?
Yes.
Okay. What's far more disturbing to me than her light sentencing on these cheese pizza cases, which should be disturbing to anyone. Let's face it. I mean, this is like this is a sort of this and like beating dogs are something that every thinking adult should be revolted by. This type of crime, right? I mean, it's you're harming the innocent. Like the purely innocent is the ones who are being the victims here. To show leniency in that regard is displaying a callous disregard for basic human that an innate human respect for human dignity and for the innocence of youth. It's a very terrifying thing. But if we look at things objectively and from reality perspective, as a Supreme Court justice, she's not going to be sentencing anybody.
Right.
That's not what she's going to do.
That was another point that I was going to make.
However, what's more disturbing, because this is how it's reflective of her overall approach to the law, because when she's sitting there, she clearly has a motivation. When you're 10 out of 10, it's not like it's like 10 out of 10 that every time in these cases she finds a way to justify going forward with her agenda of basically showing leniency to the most heinous criminals out there. So if she's the different bases of logic that she relies on, she's trying to read into the text that technically we see that, and sometimes when it helps her, she becomes a real textualist. When it helps her to promote a strong leftist agenda, she becomes a textualist. Like when they were talking about that case with the Border Patrol. So all of a sudden she's trying to read in, there's a procedural way that now all of a sudden she's a textualist. Then when it comes to the Hawkins case where she wants her agenda, all of a sudden it's like, these statutes are very old. Well, this statute's only 10 years old. Yeah, 10 years is a long time. What are you kidding me? 10 years is a long time for a statute? What are we going to be updating our statutes every 6 months? That's not the way it works.
Yeah, Joe.
Most of our laws are the Constitution is hundreds of years old. You're going to say
That's not a
outdated
law.
also?
That's a suggestion, Joe. The Constitution is like, you know, you stay within the boundaries. It's like the gutter in bowling, you know?
So what's more concerning than her utter disregard for these completely innocent victims and favoring the defendants in general is that she's displayed that she is completely fine contorting her legal reasoning in any feasible way possible to ameliorate and to basically give justification for her issuing a decision in favor of her agenda. And she even said when she was asked about her philosophy of law, she hasn't explained it. She's like, well, there's text, there's there's a social, she's coming up with 6 different things.
She's talked about the methods rather than her overall outlook.
She said the quiet part out loud, which is, I have full discretion to do whatever it is to approach this anyway, because there's so many different ways to look at the law. So I can decide whichever way I want to do it. And I'm going to do, and we know that she's going to do it in a way that is basically suited to a radically left agenda. So that's what makes her a potential menace. When I heard about her approach on these CP cases, I was like, raise her up to the Supreme Court? Are you kidding me? I want her impeached off the circuit court. This woman is a danger to society. She's really scary. There are so many great Black female judges out there. I can't tell you. If you ask me to pick an intersectionality of a judge for me to appear in front of, seriously, that person would be a Black female. I've appeared in front of so many Black women, and they are determined to to display their intelligence and their dedication to following the law, even in ways you would never think that they would follow it, because they don't want anyone to think that they are a diversity hire. So they specifically work really hard to be fair and apply the law and explain the rationale. And I've seen such keen insight from them. If you ask me, you know, if I had to rank it, seriously, it would be Black female, white male, Black male, and oh my God, please not a white woman. That's how I would rank the judges that I.
Well, thanks, Joe.
I'm sorry.
You're forgetting about the Asians, Joe. You're forgetting about the Asians. You are banned from Korea. I'm banning you.
I practice in New York, so that's why. Look, the white women white women judges in New York, they just do what they want to do. So that's why I don't mean you're not a white New York woman, so that's a whole different animal.
I know. I wasn't going to take any of it personally.
Anyway, so my point is,
as a white woman, I declare myself after Leah Thomas. I said, you know what, I can do it. As a white woman, I take umbrage to your statement. I think I would make a very fantastic and very convincing judge.
Right. So my point has got nothing to do with who she is as a person, because it's so easy to find a great Black female judge. It's just that they selected her because they want her because of her.
Joe, we were gonna get an activist judge no matter what. I don't know what you thought. Like, I don't know what you were thinking. Oh, we're gonna get a conservative judge from Joe.
No, I knew we weren't gonna get.
Man, come on.
I knew we weren't going
to get. Come on, man.
No, okay, you're right. This is true.
Man.
That's true.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is she's every bit the disappointment. Well, coming in here, I can promise you, she will be every bit the disappointment that we're anticipating. So there you go.
We'll find out. I think that overall, I mean, politically, yes, she's going to be left of center. There's no doubt about that. I don't think that anybody has any doubts about that.
Left of March,
but you know, she did graduate. I'm just looking at her credentials, though. She did graduate from Harvard undergrad and law school with honors. So I know that there's been a lot about her LSAT score. Who cares about her LSAT score if she graduated with honors from Harvard Law? Like having graduated from UT not with honors, I can tell you that it's very impressive, very, very, very impressive that she graduated from Harvard Law with honors. So it's like, you know, her credentials, at least on paper, like she's qualified. She's been a judge. She's
Touchdown.
Been a appellate judge.
On paper.
Unbreaded.
I mean,
yeah. So you know, she's about everything that I expected out of this process, and so you know, and I guess that's why I haven't really been paying as much attention, because there's not really any I guess, like, not like risk in the outcome, you know what I mean? But like, you know, I don't know. Bree, what are your thoughts?
You're saying like real concern. I think when getting judges for these positions, or even other political positions, like we saw how Kamala Harris they got on her about her sentencing of Black people. And so no matter what your bad side of your sentencing was, some demographic is going to take an issue with it. It sucks that hers happened to be the CP cases, but they were going to focus on something no matter, even if she was punishing people that were smoking marijuana, light, what do you call it? Light quantities of marijuana. Someone was going to have a problem with her. So, and with being the Supreme Judge, she also, even if she does have like this propensity to that certain area, she also has to get other people to agree with her on the Supreme Court to also go that way. So if she can get other people to agree with her to go that way, then you can't really say, okay, she's bad for these specific, I think someone put in there like 10 cases. It's unfortunate, but like I said, I think any judge, we're going to look at their track record and we're going to find something to complain about, honestly.
I definitely agree. I totally agree with that.